Welcome to another episode of Real BMX Racing, the podcast. Today's show is sponsored by BMX Connect, Eddie's Blocks, Extreme Squared, Wrenchman Wheel Build, Answer BMX, 110% Nutrition. With a special shout out to Toby Henderson over at Send It. Today's guest is USA BMX Women's Pro Carly Kane. Carly, welcome to the show.
How did this all start for you? And
like
when?
BMX.
Yes.
So my dad raced motocross, and that's kind of how I got into it. Well, I obviously not motocross, but he always wanted to race BMX as a kid, and he never really got the chance to. And so once my sister and I were a little bit older, I think we were 6 and 8, he decided that he was going to show us BMX. And so we went down to the local track. I had no interest at first. Like, I did not want to do it. I actually remember, clear as day, they took us down there and it got rained out the first time. And then we had to go to the grocery store. We were like, oh my gosh, you guys tricked us. Like, you just wanted us to go to the grocery store with you. So I was 8, my sister was 6. We both raced for like 4 years and then she quit. And here I am still racing. So.
Oh, wow.
And that was it for her? She never tried it again, never raced again?
Yeah, she doesn't like the super high pressure, and you have 30 seconds basically, and if you screw up, that's it. So she's actually a really, really good tennis player now. She plays tennis with my mom competitively, so they do a bunch of like nationals and stuff, so they're very good.
Okay.
And what about you? Have you played any other sport?
Yeah, I mean, I played basketball, which doesn't make any sense because I'm 4'11". I ran track, I ran cross country, I played tennis for a little bit. I did a lot, but BMX has my heart.
Okay. With the tennis, are you able to overhand serve?
Yeah, my serve was like my only real strong point. Like, I had a pretty big serve, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
But it's very inconsistent now.
Yeah, 4'11", you have to overhand serve else so they could make it over.
Exactly, yeah.
So are you one of the shorter riders, like when you get in the gate with people? I know I am. I'm 5'8", and I'm against guys that are 6 foot at least, and over. Are you one of the shorter ones?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a few girls that are pretty short, but I don't know that anyone is shorter than me. So I think there's a few that are close, but it's funny, like a lot of times, if I'm in the gate, especially with like Felicia or Lauren are next to me, it's crazy because it's just like so.
Pretty cool. I mean, so how old were you when you first started jumping? Do you remember?
Probably the second year I raced, so when I was 9. And I just remember I was looking through old pictures recently, and like I look like such a goon. It's so funny, but I'm little and I'm like totally squirrely. But I remember I used to race at this little track in Cleves, Ohio, and they had like 2 tiny little tabletops in the last straight, and I would just jump them like the entire practice or try to jump them. And, then I thought that I was like throwing whips. I wasn't. I was like, Dad, video me, But yeah, probably like that second year when I was racing.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
That's one of the things that made you stand out from like watching other women pros is the fact that you can jump and you were good at it,
Thanks.
Not saying that they don't all jump the way you do. Just that's
Sure.
And then I seen you on the pump tracks, and you just definitely a skillful rider, no doubt.
Well,
I appreciate it.
And I guess the bigger question is when in the world did you learn the manual like that, and how did you get so good at it?
So honestly, like, so I can't manual on a track. Like, I can't manual straights because everybody's like, oh, you can manual full straights, but I really can't. But I remember one winter we had like a ton of snow, and the closest indoor to me is Dayton Indoor. It's like an hour and a half ish maybe. And like even in the summer now, like I live in Columbus, Indiana, so everything is so far away. We're talking like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that's
Right.
just, I have to drive to get to the track. And in the winter, like my dad, you know, he worked, my mom worked, so like they couldn't always take me to the track. And I remember I was out in the road and up the driveway. I had shoveled the driveway because, like I said, it snowed a ton. I was just trying to manual like parking spaces at like our local park, and then like our driveway had lines on it. So I was trying to manual like lines. And I practiced for such a long time. Like it was ridiculous. And first I learned how to like pedal manual. You know, I was just like wheeling up and down the street. And then after that, I just really wanted to learn how to manual, I guess. I don't know. But now it's easy. So
Right. I'm like, we should have watching you. And we're like, holy crap, she's still going. Like, look at that. Like,
thanks.
it was just amazing. Like, I'm like, yeah. I mean, at my best, I was able to sit down and wheelie, which is not the same thing. Because when I first saw someone standing up doing it, and I was like, you're gonna fall. Like, how
But I can't sit down
put
wheelie.
that together?
So sit down wheelies are impressive to me because I cannot do it. I don't know why. I've never been able to. So I like the standing up because you can use your butt more to like balance. Do you know what I mean? If you're sitting down, like I feel like all you have is your shoulders, and that's terrifying.
So I guess if you can sit down with you should be able to manual. Then was what she's saying. There you go.
Yeah,
Get
there
on your
you
bike.
go.
And try to manual.
I'll put that on my practice list, like regular practicing.
Yeah, there you go. It really is. Honestly, it's more about like if you're just manualing on flat ground for distance, it's more about the front, like your front knee to kind of steer, because most people are just like they'll pop it up and then they'll fall to one side. But if you like lean with that front knee, you can actually like turn and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I seen that video of you. You were like swerving in between trees at the I think
Yeah.
you were in a park, or yeah, that was cool. And then you got on like a bunch of different bikes and was manualing those, and I was like, look at her, man.
Yeah,
She
I
manual
couldn't
like
do
a Strider or something.
The Strider was
Yeah.
the Strider.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, that was pretty tricky at first because the balance point is like so tiny. So like if you move even a little bit too much, you're gonna loop out or drop the front wheel. But after a little bit of practice, I was like, okay, like I can do this at least for like a little bit.
So I figured that the balance point was so much smaller on that bike. So why, when you got on the bigger bikes, did you have an issue?
The bigger bikes, they're so much heavier, and like with like a 26-inch bike, if you like pop a manual up, like I said, I'm a small person, so like I have to yank and I have to get my butt so far back. And honestly, like I can't manual big bikes very well. Like I feel like I could maybe wheelie them, not sit down wheelie, but maybe like regular wheelie. But I don't know. I don't know. Big mountain bikes and like 26ers, I'm not very good at manualing.
Oh, before I forget, all right. So what foot do you start with on the gate? Like what foot is forward?
So I start right foot forward, but I ride left foot forward.
So you hit jumps with your left foot.
Yeah.
Correct. So I do
Yes.
the same thing, and I was like tripping out one day because I was watching everybody else and nobody was doing it. And you had came to our track and did a clinic, and somebody told me like, yo, you got to ask Carly Kane how she does it, because that's exactly what she does. And I'm like, bro, what's the chances of me asking Carly Kane, like, you know, what foot put forward or whatever, you know? But here we are now. I get to ask you, so I meant to ask you that, you know. So
yeah, it's actually a blessing and a curse because on Supercross I get 4.5 pedals instead of 4. So I get like an extra half crank because start right, ride left. But then like at Rock Hill, I get screwed because instead of getting 4 pedals, I can only get like 3.5 because otherwise you're pedaling through the transition because it's a lot smaller. But other than that, it's good. It works out.
I just felt like it was harder when I was trying to pedal manual over a tabletop. I just felt like I was just coming up the jump off, even though that was my comfortable way to come up. It was just getting back on the pedals with my left foot. It just felt weird. That's all. So I try to hit it with my right. That's not happening.
Yeah, no, that's super sketchy. I feel like sometimes it's just about finding like how your pedal strokes line up for a jump. You know, like and every jump is different too, so it's tough sometimes.
Gotcha.
So or does that mean like when you're jumping in the air, are you the one you will pedal in the air to get your feet right before you land type of thing?
No, no, not usually. Like, I've really been working on it because I tend to like miss so many pedals. Like it's bad. If I like go back and watch my races, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're getting like 10 more pedals than me on the second straight. Like what's going on? So I've actually been really working on like landing on the gas, but I definitely am not like a pedal in the air person to get my feet right. So because I mean, I go off the jump with my left foot forward. I land my left foot forward. I mean, I can ET. It's not pretty, but I can. So I don't know.
I see those and I'm always like, man, that's amazing. I'm pretty sure they're going faster by the time they land.
It looks cool. I'm not very good at it, but
I just feel like it's a waste of energy, and just it gives you more. I don't know. It just gives you another chance to mess something up possibly, and to get
you're
off
definitely
balance.
if you're pedaling in the air, you're definitely landing on the gas though, which is important, because like I said, I've been working on it, but I was watching some videos from last year with my dad, and he was like, "You're not even pedaling until you get like 15 feet down the landing and the jump." And I'm like, "I know, I don't know why." So I've been working on it. Not my ETs, but pedaling as soon as I'm on the ground.
So is your dad your coach?
No, so my dad, I mean, he's always like giving me advice and tips. He's never, like I said, he's never raced BMX, but he's always like, if I have a question, I'll usually go to him for like riding stuff. I don't actually have a like riding coach for like on track stuff for sprints or anything like that. That's all just me. I do have a strength coach. But he's awesome. He's actually the strength coach for the Washington Wizards. And so it was like a little bit of a learning curve because obviously he coaches, professional basketball players, and I'm not a professional basketball player. But he is awesome. We've really we've been able to tweak my training to exactly the way that I want. I know, what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and why I'm doing it. And I really believe in his coaching and believe in his program, and he's helped me so much. So he's awesome.
There we go.
So why don't you have an on-track coach?
I don't know. Like I feel like I could probably get one and would probably benefit from it, but also like I want to be able to find someone who I mesh well with. And I also think it's really hard to find a coach in BMX that's not coaching a bunch of other riders. And I don't really want that. I like having something that nobody else has. You know what I mean? I think that sometimes if somebody coaches a lot of people, it's just the same thing for everybody. You know what I mean?
With the women riders, do you ladies ever just get out there on a non-racing situation or whatever and be like, let's just go hit this track up. Like, let's all get the group and just go hit a spot and just practice.
I mean,
you guys ever do that?
We live so apart. Especially, I mean, there's some in Florida, some in Arizona, and then Peanut is in Tulsa, but really for the most part, we're all pretty spread out. So it's tough. They're all awesome. I have so much fun with, all the girls when we're racing and traveling. It's awesome. But I haven't really been able to be like, all right, we're going to go. This whole group is going to go ride this track. So just because, like I said, we're very far apart.
So when you guys go overseas as a team, do you guys hang out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So you do have time with friends and you get to do some cool stuff when you go to these cities and stuff. All right, cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you go overseas, and I don't know if you can give me the answer to this one or not, out of your group of friends, who do you think would be the one that could possibly get arrested?
Oh my gosh.
If you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Well, hold on a second. Are we talking just USA or are we talking everybody?
Let's talk everybody.
Let's talk everybody.
Everybody? Okay. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Aiko because she's like very chill, but she's got a wild side. You don't know what to expect from her sometimes.
Awesome. Well, she must ride like she does because she's awesome, also, no doubt.
Yeah, Aiko's awesome.
So, how many countries have you visited racing?
What's that?
How many countries have you visited racing?
So actually, the very first time that I at the States was for Santiago, Chile last year, or I'm sorry, 2 years ago now, which is crazy. That was back World Champs, and that's where I had my really, really bad head injury. So that was like the first time out of the country. I woke up and I didn't remember anything. Everybody was speaking Spanish. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Yeah, it was crazy. And then last year was like my first time ever racing BMX internationally, and really like I just didn't really think I was good enough until this year, and I was terrified when I made like the world's team for U23. I was like almost pregnant to make the team because I was so like stressed out and nervous and scared to race because I just, like I said, I just didn't think I was. And then like racing, I went to France beforehand, which was awesome. And then Scotland for Worlds. And then like riding those tracks and racing against, the best of the best, like I can hang. And then I went back to France for one of the World Cups last year, and it's kind of sucked because it got like canceled the one day because of wind, and then the second day like I just wasn't feeling it. The track was awesome, but it was just a little bit of an off weekend. And then I lost my bikes, which didn't help, so I missed like a day of practice, and like it was not that big of a deal, but mentally it's always tough when you have like less practice, especially being like new to World Cup racing. And then I went to Santiago del Estero, so that's in Argentina. And that was probably my favorite race of the year. It was 2 back-to-back World Cup weekends. I liked the track, much more confident just because I kind of knew where I stood. Up making a semi in elite women. So after Worlds, I just classed up to elite, and I made a semi. I was like, holy crap! Like I can race in this class,
Awesome.
Do you still get really nervous before every race?
No, I don't really get nervous, like, which sounds really weird. I'll get more nervous like leading up to race weekend, and then when I'm like actually racing, I think I get more nervous practicing than I do like racing. And I don't know why. I think like, I don't know. Big hill is nerve-wracking anyway. Like if you get on top of an 8-meter hill, it's scary every time for the first few runs at least, but for some reason, like when I'm in the gate with people, I'm more focused on like the people, like beating the people, like I'm more focused on beating my competitors than I am on like what I'm doing, and everything is just natural. So yeah, I don't know. And I honestly, like, I even tell, some of my amateur friends this, like, because a lot of them get really nervous at nationals and stuff because it's a big race. I'm like, yeah, like I used to get super nervous, and now that I'm in the gate with, the fastest people in the world, like every single rack is going to be stacked. It makes it less nerve-wracking,
Wow.
It really does.
So did you ever get starstruck up in the gate where you look over side and you're like, holy crap, that's
maybe a little bit in Argentina, a little bit. It's actually like, I don't know. I never even, when I was an amateur, like I didn't even watch the pros. Like I just wanted to focus on my racing. I've never been one to get starstruck, but in Argentina, I always had a gate with Elise, Bethany, Zoe Classens, and then Laura Smulders and Saya. And I was like,
oh,
holy crap. It's crazy. So it was a stacked rack to say the least, but it was pretty cool to just be like, wow, like this is literally as good as it gets. Like this is insane.
Dang, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So what gate would you pick if you had a choice?
Well, who's in the gate with me? Just any?
Right.
Yeah, normally, like what gates do you prefer?
I don't know. I feel like 3 is just a win-win. Like you're always gonna like 3 is good.
Okay.
And do you watch the lights or do you listen for the beep on the gate?
Yes, I watch. So I actually used to listen though, and I would look down at the gate. Now I look forward at the lights, and up until Argentina last year, I just looked towards the kink and like watch for the lights on my peripheral. But now I actually look at like directly at the lights. So it's it was a big change. I changed it like 2 years ago, and I couldn't even balance in the gate. Like I went from looking down to looking up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so scary." But I think that looking up makes it easier for me to like move my body forward because I'm looking forward. So it's helped my gates a lot.
Yeah, I'm like the total opposite. My head's got to be down because the moment I look up, I'm like, and it's like, so like, I mean, forever I was always like, wait a minute, there's actual lights up there because I'm like, where am I supposed to be looking for these things? Like, I just thought it was
Nice.
just the sound of the cadence. I was just like, I just assumed the sound was what it was. You hear it and go. They're like, there's actual lights out there, dude. And I'm like, oh.
I used to do the same. It's okay.
So
Do you? So I've heard riders say that and I've experienced this myself where I didn't want to know what gate I was in, like going up to shoot. No, I just wanted to wait to the guy that was doing staging to tell me what gate I was in because it would stress me out too much knowing I was in gate 8 or gate 1 or next to this guy or next to, so I was just like, a couple of nationals. I was like, I don't even want to know my gates. Just tell me when I get up there, I'll get in the gate and race. And that worked out so much better for me.
Yeah, honestly, like I don't even attempt to read the moto sheets because they're so confusing. Like the pro moto sheets, because you have like A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. It's always just, I don't know. I have no clue. I go up there and every time I'm like, what gate am I in? Like, where do I go? But it doesn't, I mean, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter what gate you're in. It's just, you have to make it happen from whatever gate you're in. And with like World Cup racing, it's different because it's all based on ranking. So like the top ranked rider picks first. Like every single moto is gate pick, even the first one. So it's based on ranking, and it just, again, like it doesn't matter where you end up is where you end up. And like, if you have last gate pick like me at my first international race, then you're going wherever you go.
what's your favorite track?
Gosh, I don't know. I rode so many good, like amazing tracks last year. I think I mean, Sarians in France for the World Cup was awesome. Like it was such a fun track. I wish I would have had more time to ride it. It was like very just like, well, I don't know. Like all the tracks over there are built so good. So I can't even say that it's built well because they're all just perfect. I think that I got to ride Besançon. I actually got to ride Paris and Besançon in the time I went. Paris was cool. It was really windy the whole time I was there, though. We didn't get to ride a whole lot. And then Besançon is amazing. Like it's a little bit, second straight's a little bit scary, but there's like this massive quad into the first corner. It has like a really nice lip on it, and I like tripled into the first corner, and it was so sick because it's like it looks pretty big on video. Like it doesn't feel big when you jump it, but there's a lot of triples on that track, and I was loving it.
Are there any tracks that you want to ride that you haven't yet?
I am so excited to ride Brisbane for the World Cup this year. I've always wanted to ride that track. It looks amazing. And they rebuilt it, I think, last year maybe, or a year and a half ago. So it's a little bit different, but it still looks so good. And I'm so excited. But I mean, gosh, there's a lot of amazing looking tracks over there. So, or I guess down there. So hopefully I'll get to hit a few when I'm down there.
There we go. Which track would you say is the most difficult?
I mean, again, like Sarians is very technical. It's fun. It's technical though. Also like Paris is very technical. I feel like I haven't ridden enough tracks to give you like a definite answer, but Paris's third straight is crazy, and Sarian's third straight is like it's pretty technical. But I think Paris probably wins the the technical the technical competition.
I'm sure knowing how to jump the way you do helps with some of these technical tracks, correct?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, the other thing, like, you know, like I said, last year was my first year riding anything international for BMX, and I think that a lot of people always say how like difficult the tracks are, but they're built so well. So like it's not really that they're difficult to ride. You just have to like have the guts to do it. You know, like if you have this massive lip on a double, like you can't manual it. Like you're gonna have to jump it, but it's built so well that they'll just send you right over. You know.
You hear that, Shannon? Just pull up.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've heard like there were a couple of experts that were really good, you know, that I know from the States that rode at our tracks, and they went overseas and rode, and they were just talking about how difficult those tracks were and how the lips would send them up, and they weren't jumpers. And so, you know, one of the girls asked the other girls in her class, she was like, how do I get over this first jump? They was like, you just got to jump it. And they would like saying it to her as if she was a jumper. And she was like, I was just so scared. I didn't know what to do because I couldn't jump, but I didn't want to tell the girls I couldn't jump, but I can't jump, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, there's a few tracks in the States that are built well, but like for the most part, I mean, I don't even know if there was one track that I could pick to ride in the States that's like technical ish, honestly. Like I would probably go up to Elgin in Chicago because their third straight is super tech, it's deep, it's built well, but like it's really hard to find a really good technical rhythm section on a US track, which is a bummer because like when I was in France that first time, I was like at a local practice and there was like 7-year-old boys who were like triple manualing, like bump jumping, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm the least skilled rider here, like this is crazy. So I think that, you know, obviously more technical tracks are intimidating at first, but they make you such a better rider.
Yeah, and if we had them here, it'll prepare you guys a little better to go overseas, you know? Saying that we have no technical tracks in the United States, that's just terrible. That's just setting us up for failure when we go overseas, you know, to these tracks, you know, I think.
Yeah, and I think also it's tough, though, because, you know, you'll have – we really, like, for how big the States are, like, we don't have that many tracks. And so, like, a lot of TOs will be like, oh, well, if we make it technical, though, we're going to scare off all these riders. And, like, I get it. I really do. And I think it's just finding like that happy medium, you know?
If I remember correctly, didn't they have like levels to when we were racing, Shannon, when you were young? Like they tell you that this was a novice track, and
I don't remember that, bro. I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember that?
No.
I'm pretty sure they had you like certain tracks. They would tell you like the skill level of what those tracks were back in like the 80s. And
they didn't like put them in any categories. Like we just knew as riders that was an easy track or a medium track or a hard. Yeah, I don't think they listed them like.
Okay,
you know.
So maybe that's what it was. But it is what it is. What was your first big brand bike?
Like my first sponsor, or
when you first started riding, what was the first bike you got? When you first started racing?
I rented the little tiny GT from our local track, and then I ended up getting an Intense for Christmas that year after I started racing. And then I rode a hot pink Supercross that my dad painted for me.
Nice.
It was really cool. He used to paint my helmets and my bikes. He does not have time now. He works himself and he's always slammed, but the ones that he did do are amazing. And then I rode a pink DK, and then I got sponsored by Powerlight, and I was on a hot pink Powerlight. It was awesome. Wow. And then DKs, and now, yeah.
So at the track, when your dad was with you and when you didn't win, what was the talk?
When I didn't win?
When you didn't win.
I mean,
was your dad hard on you? Did he just like, you know, say, hey, well, listen, we got to do a little better next time, or this is what you need to do? Or did he say, listen, if you keep doing that, we're not going to come back?
He was never like, obviously wanted me to do good, but anytime that he like got frustrated with me, it was more at like bigger races when I was super nervous and I just sucked because I was nervous. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, he would never get mad at me if I like did the best that I could do, you know, if I just like straight up got beat. But there was a lot of times because I didn't even start racing nationals until I was like 12. I raced the last grands when I was younger, but then up until I was 12 or 13, I didn't race any nationals. And so like I definitely had the capability to do a lot better than I did, but I just could not get over the nerves for such a long time. So I think he was frustrated because obviously like he was spending the money to get me there and then I would go and I would so but he was never like, you know, you suck, like we're never coming back. So he like my parents are both super supportive.
Oh, that's cool.
So do you remember the time when you like broke through being that nervous at a national, when you just felt like you belonged there, you were just as competitive as everybody else and you could possibly, you know, podium?
I had a good period in 2018. I went like a few months without losing a lap and I felt awesome. And then I ended up getting my dad was mad at me for this one. It was the grand semi and I hit the gate, like plowed the gate, and I was in 7th. And I came back, I passed 3 people, I was in 4th, and I sat down at the line and I got passed. And he was not happy because
Oh, jeez.
I was racing really well at that time. And I don't know, just sat down the line. So don't sit down the line. Pedal through the line.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I told Everett this at Rock Hill. I forgot, this was a couple years ago. We were at a national and I was in 3rd place. And I did that exact thing. I was like, oh, I got this. I sat down and this guy came screaming past me, yelling, yeah. And I was like, no, bro. Like, how did that happen, bro? It was just like, that will never happen again, man.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I needed that.
Learn. Yeah.
I know.
You learn the hard way sometimes, but you learn.
Right.
It was just that, yeah, that just killed me, bro. If he would have just passed me and not said anything, it wouldn't have been that bad, you know.
But he yelled yes, and then you were like, oh,
yeah.
No.
That was to me.
That's almost as bad as when you race a national and you win, and your buddy doesn't even see it, and then you're holding the #1 trophy, and you look at him, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "Whose trophy is that?" Yeah, my man right here did that too.
Yeah, because listen, man. So I think his first round, he just didn't even pedal. He didn't do nothing. It got like dead last. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just thinking this guy has no chance at anything today. Like he's done. You know, he'll just do his second round. I didn't know that, and he was saving it. So then I come around the corner, and then he's standing there with the first place trophy, and I'm like, bro, whose trophy is that? I was dead serious. I didn't think there was no way he got a first place. But he was like, it's mine. I'm like, nah, for real, whose trophy is that? That was too funny.
Right.
That is super funny.
And I missed the race too. I missed watching the race. So
right.
Like, yeah, you know, I mean, they have the live. You can go back and watch.
Yeah, I did. He made sure I did.
That was my moment too. I was like, so then, you know, because that's what we do. We go back and forth, and you know, we talk a lot of crap. And so I was like, bro, you know, the year's almost over. I got my national. What you got, right? This guy comes out and wins 2 more nationals before I can even like finish like getting at him. I'm like, bro. And then I just look over. I'm like, really? You're just gonna win 2 in the same season? He just looks at me, right?
That's funny.
All right. Well, I had my moment my little moment for a second.
Hey, you won first, right? So
right.
I mean,
right.
technically that counts for something.
Right.
And nobody can ever take that from you, bro.
Right. Because we'd sit there, man, we'd grind at each other, sit there, look at each other, go, man, think about it. Some people just never win a national. Like, I got mine, but you might not ever get one.
That's hilarious, bro.
So
let's talk about your bike a little bit. What size bike do you ride?
I ride a Pro.
And I see you work on your own bike.
Yes.
I seen you build a set of wheels.
Yes, I do. I take pride in that. I'm happy I can build wheels. Like, it's really, honestly, it's not that hard, but I think people like it's hard. So I don't know. I really like building them though. It's actually like super relaxing. And I actually trued my current set too. I had never trued them. And I wanted them for Nashville. I was building a new bike up, and I was like, Dad, I need you to true my wheels for me. He's like, I don't have time. I'm too busy with work. He's like, figure it out. I'm like, okay. I did. It was I put like I just put my front wheel on the forks and the back wheel. I would put them on a pair of forks and like look at how close they were to my thumb and then adjust. And it was a little bit of a learning curve, but I figured it out, and they're pretty straight.
Okay, so if you want to do it on a pair of forks, the trick is right. Get a wire tie, right?
Yeah.
And then just cut it to like right where the rim is on both sides, and that'll be like
That's
your
how
guide.
my dad did it. Yeah, I was like, I'll just look at it. I'll eyeball it with my thumb, and then spin it. And I was like, okay, straight, like we're good.
That's cool though. That is awesome that you do that. Because I ask a lot of people if they work on their bikes, and there's like tons of pros that they don't work on their own bikes. So would you trust somebody else to work on your bike?
I was just gonna say no. Like, I touch my bike, my dad can touch my bike, and then I'm like if somebody else is gonna work on it, like I'm gonna be supervising, because I don't know, it stresses me out. It is the way I like it, and like it's I want to know that everything is correct and put together correctly.
Right.
So
how often do you check your tire pressure?
Enough. I usually like if I feel slow, then I'm like, okay, I should probably check my tires, which is not good. I actually raced several races with like 40 pounds in them.
Oh,
yeah. So again, like I've learned the hard way with that. Now I'm pretty good about checking them now. Like when I'm in the gate, I'll just check them real quick, like in practice. And sometimes they don't. But yeah, I definitely I check them more than I used to. Probably still not enough, but like I said, I've learned.
Because you're going fast enough. You could roll a tire off a hoop, and you don't want to do that,
Yeah, I mean, luckily I've never done that. I don't know. With that, the 40 pounds of pressure is probably close, but
yeah. Do you run the same size tire on the front and back?
Yeah, I do. I run 1.5s because I'm small. So 1.5s on the front and the back.
Really?
Yeah.
And you feel that's enough. That means because that means you have confidence. A lot of people, it's a confidence thing with the bigger tire in front,
Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot. People are like, really? Like, you're on a 1.5? I'm like, yeah, like, whatever, I'm good. Like, it's worked so far. So, like, I guess I'm fine.
I did 1.6s on my OS, and I felt like, no way, I got to put the bigger tire back on. And then I put a bigger tire on the back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
What brand did you use?
Power Blocks.
Okay. See, the Power Blocks, though, I will say I ran Power Blocks for a little bit because I couldn't get my Maxxis DTHs. I love the Maxxis DTHs.
Me too.
But the Power Blocks are like bigger. They have a bigger profile or whatever, and they're actually skinnier. So like I ran the 1.6 Power Blocks for a little bit because, like I said, I couldn't get the other ones, and they don't make a 1.5, and they were actually the same width as the Maxxis 1.5s. So like,
wow.
Yeah, it's 1.5, but it's a Y 1.5.
Got you. Yeah, those Maxxis are so freaking dope. I wish they had them for OS 20s. They don't have them.
Yeah.
I love those tires.
Yeah, they're my favorite. I love them.
Since you are under 5 feet, when did you go to? Did you always ride a 20, or were you like an expert XL for a long time, or like?
So I rode a Expert XL for my power light, and then I went up to a Pro when I signed with DK because they don't make an Expert XL. So they actually did for like a little bit, a long time ago, and I tried it, but I didn't like it because the head tube angle was different. So like my front wheel, I think, was like further out, and it didn't feel as good. So yeah, I've been on a Pro since 2016, and I mean, I'll stay on a Pro. Like, obviously I'm not going to go up. So I like the I don't know. I mean, I can maybe ride an Expert XL, but I don't know. I feel like I like having a little bit more bike underneath me, you know?
Right, right.
Do you have a custom frame, like a custom head tube angle, or are you just riding what they kind of make?
Well, so I'm riding what they make, but in March I'm gonna have 4 custom spec'd frames. So I'm very excited, and that's from my new gig. So I'm very happy.
So now you like to tell us what that is.
Yeah, I can. So as long as this gets released tomorrow on the 24th.
It'll be released on Thursday. We're good. We're good.
Okay. So I signed with Huffy, and I am so excited. I'm their first professional athlete in almost 20 years. So it is
Whoa,
so
that is awesome. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Wow,
I'm pumped.
no doubt.
Yeah.
What
See
exactly?
these frames.
This is major because I've seen their race frames and they look pretty dope. So I'm just like, how did that come about? Was it something that you went after them, or they came after you, or?
So yeah, they hit me up, and we had a meeting back in October. And I didn't know if it was all gonna like go through or not. It was a lot of like back and forth. Obviously, they're a corporation, so it takes a really long time for things to happen just because it's a bigger company. And so I was like holding my breath, just hoping. And I got a call right like the day after Christmas, and it was like the best Christmas present ever. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. So yeah, it was like all very quick though. Like from the time that I heard that it was happening to like signing, it was like 3 days, and it was awesome. Like it's seriously, it feels surreal, and like we release this tomorrow. So like I just it's crazy. It's super super exciting, and I think that like obviously they're getting back into BMX, and so I think it's going to be awesome to be able to like help grow the brand name back to what it was, because I mean they are such an iconic brand. So I'm
Right.
like just beyond pumped.
They were really big in the sport in the 80s
Yes.
and 90s too.
Yes,
They were top runners.
Yeah,
And you're gonna be the face of that company. That is so awesome.
Right?
I'm very excited.
So, are you getting like your own signature series, or like what's?
So no, the frames that I'll be riding will just be there for me. I don't
Okay.
know, honestly. I don't know like what the plans are. It's because obviously like it's a very new thing. They're just getting back into it. The bikes that they
Right.
have right now are pretty cool because they're like price point bikes, and really like you can upgrade them to,
Yep.
I mean, as good as you want them to be, basically. But I
Right.
think like you can get them anywhere, and then they built up one like in office, and it has like box stuff. Like it's you can put the tapered forks in, like it has a really nice bottom bracket. Like it's a nice bike for what it
Yeah.
is, and I think that they're just gonna keep on, continuing to improve and make awesome product.
And I see, so there's a lot of older guys getting back into the sport because of
Yes.
their kids or grandkids, and that's the brand that we know. So
Yeah.
I could see them going right for the Huffy, like just like they were
Right.
going right for
Yeah.
the Mongoose or right for the
Right.
Red Lions. Or
Yep.
these are the brands we were familiar with, So
Yeah.
Huffy, oh my God, man, I could see a bunch of
I
old
know.
guys on Huffy. Sorry to say, but it's gonna be a bunch of old guys on Huffys. It's
Oh yeah.
gonna be so
I was
awesome to see them.
Yeah, I was thinking though, like, a lot of the younger generation, they're not going to really big of a brand how it is, and how, like I said, how iconic it is. So it's gonna be really cool for that to kind of like come back. And like I said, I mean, I've said it a bunch, but I'm so excited just to like see, see how it grows, and like I can't wait to see a bunch of people on Huffies.
Right. Right. Well, so what's gonna be your debut race on it?
So I actually leave for New Zealand on Saturday. So I will race the World Cup in New Zealand, February 9th and 10th, I believe. And then I go straight to Australia, and I'll race the World Cup in Australia. And I think that's 24th and 25th, if I'm getting those dates right, but roughly that. So those two, and then I think my first states is Rock Hill. I think Rock Hill is like the second week I get back from Australia. So.
Okay.
So are you gonna have a completely new bike, like all fresh components and?
So I have like my hubs. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're beautiful. They're like they have like holographic flake. They're black with holographic flake. They're beautiful. Onyx killed it. But I'll probably get, new components. I actually have like my practice bike. I haven't really ridden it that much, so I don't want to like completely get new stuff because some of the stuff I can use. But yes, right now I'll just be on an unbranded frame, and then hopefully by Rock Hill, I'll on my Huffy, but I don't know for sure yet, so we'll just see what happens.
And how long do you think it's going to take for you to get like used to a new bike? And that's why I ask you about components, because sometimes if you just switch the frame and you have the same components, if the geometry is similar on the frames, it just feels like the same bike. But if you switch everything out, like sometimes it could feel like a totally different bike. And I was just wondering how long it would take you to like just get accustomed to a new bike, a totally new gig.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take too long. Like when I switched from, the last model of frame that I have to this one that I'm currently on, like it didn't take, maybe like, and it was very different. So maybe like 3 practice sessions, but like I feel like once you're on a bike for a few sessions, like it's fine. If the geometry is similar, then it doesn't take long at all. 3 practice sessions is a long time, but
And I always wondered what happens, like, and especially with this one, you haven't rode a Huffy frame yet, right? They don't have any produced, correct?
No, I manualed one through the warehouse.
Okay. I just always wondered, like, if somebody signed a deal with a brand or like, a frame and they didn't like it, like, and it wasn't produced yet, and then you're like one of the first people to get on the frame, and you're like, I don't really like this, like what would happen then? Would they make you a custom frame to make sure you like it?
Well, they got an awesome design team. Like I got to meet the guys who are, they do all the designing for everything, and they're super cool. And I have no doubt that like whatever they end up, spitting out is going to be awesome. So I'm not really stressed about that. I think that it'll be good. And like, like I said, it doesn't, even if geometry is like significantly different, it doesn't take that long to adjust. It's just, I think the biggest difference is like the gait, you know what I mean? But other than that, everything's pretty much the same. It's no different than like, riding a park bike to like a race bike, way different, but you can get on either one and it's fine.
Right.
Or like manual and a strider, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Figure it out.
Just get fatter.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Right? I'm still taking it in like, wow. Like, because at the end of the day, like everybody knows Huffy. Like, even if you don't race,
yeah.
Even if you don't even race, Huffy. Like,
yeah.
That's dope.
Almost everybody my age, when I ask them what their first bike was, it's either a T Murray or a Huffy, and most likely it's a Huffy. What was it? The Pro Thunder, I think was like the top Huffy at the time.
That's funny.
The top department store Huffy.
Yeah. I think they have like a whole wall of Huffies hung up in the warehouse or in the like headquarters. Dope. I'm gonna have to go find it for you and take a picture because I'm sure it's on there.
Oh my God! Oh yes, I know it is.
I just imagine too, especially back when you were young, there was probably only 2 or 3 selections of bikes, anyways.
I'm not much older than you. Stop playing. When I was younger, he act like it was a whole different decade or something.
Yeah, they're probably chiseling them square wheels in for you, trying to make them sound a little circular right there.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So, what was your worst injury?
Definitely the my head injury in Chile. So I don't know if you guys have seen that video. It's brutal. It's insane. I actually just like my front wheel slid out and I just high-sided and just took it all to the head, like into, concrete because it's a pump track. And really like with pump track, if you crash on a pump track, it's going to be big, And so I was just going all out because that's what you have to do. And just like I said, front wheel slipped and I was knocked out for like a minute and a half, I think. I had a seizure. I crushed the end of my collarbone. So, which is good, I guess. Like I didn't break it, I just smashed it. But but it was hard, like mentally, to come back from that one. Like I didn't know if I was going to race again. I went down to Rock Hill last year, like 2 weeks early for like a oh my gosh, I can't talk. A USAC camp. And I like could not ride and I didn't know what was wrong and I felt like I was falling to one side. And then I went to a hockey game with, do you know the Hayes, Mark and Denise and
Mason?
Okay. Yeah. So I went to a hockey game with them and Cam Bramer and one of their friends was there too. And we were talking about his pupils. They're different sizes because he's had a lot of concussions. And jokingly, I was like, oh, are mine different sizes? And they were like, oh yeah, like significantly. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean they're different sizes? And so I ended up having to do like a bunch of vestibular physical therapy. I still do it every single day. I look so silly. I just stand on like a couch and close my eyes and turn my head, and it helps to, I guess, like regulate your inner ear, which is really weird how everything is linked up. But that's why I felt so off balance because my pupils were significantly different sizes. So yeah, that was scary. Just because like I couldn't ride the way that I wanted to, and then like it was really hard because I thought I was just like scared. Like I thought I was just making, and then just actually be able to see like, okay, like this is like physically, this is what's stopping me. It was a long fix, but here I am. I'm still here. I'm still racing. So.
So I'd see you guys on the pump tracks. I mean, pump tracks just look dangerous, and they are. If you're going fast and you crash, you're gonna tear yourself up. I mean, just like a BMX track. I mean, I think with a BMX track, though, I know with me, it's in my head that it looks like dirt. It's not gonna hurt as bad. I don't know. It hurts just as bad. We know that, So anyway, back to the pump tracks. You're on a pump track. I see you guys wear no elbow pads, no knee pads. You guys are not wearing gloves, short sleeve shirts, little short shorts, and you guys are, I mean, helmets, of course, but you guys are going for it. And I'm like, why are they not wearing protection? Does it not hurt when you crash on the pump track? What is going on? It does.
I mean, well, actually, knocked down, I feel it, but just kidding. I wore long sleeve pants, long sleeve shirt for Worlds in Austin this year. But like, I don't know. I feel like it's not great, but like if I'm not in the gate with 7 other people who like want to kill each other, then I feel like I don't need pads, like whatever, So, which probably is not the best thinking, but I don't know. In the summer, like, yeah, I'm tank top, it's like whatever. Because honestly, I feel like on a pump track for the like, I'm not 100% unless I'm like racing, because they are dangerous. But like for the most part, if I go to ride a pump track, I'm just floating around having fun.
So when you do race, what type of gear do you wear?
Well, just long sleeve, like jersey and pants. That's what I did in Austria, and that's what I did in Chile too, I think. I don't actually know. I think I was just in a jersey and I don't think I had pads on. No.
Y'all trip me out, I swear, because you're going so fast, and every time I see like when you guys fall, I'm like, oh my god. But usually you just like slide, spin around, jump right back up, get on the bike, and finish the lap. And I'm like, how did they do it, bro?
Yeah, just balance.
Yeah. And you came back pretty mentally, because like that's what we got. Me and Shannon were talking about too. Like mental health in this game is just, in any sport right now, it's a big topic. So to see what happens when you guys go down and how you guys come back, to me, it's always a bigger story. It's like, how do you mentally come back from that? So Some riders you see when they come back, they're not the same, and some riders you see they come back and they're stronger and they're faster and better. Some just take time, and those are the ones that me and Shannon always look back and we'll say, all right, that person there definitely needs some more time with it. Like, and then we try to like reach out and try to see if we can interview them too, because we want to see where their mental is on how they're, how they come back from it. Like, because you never know, somebody might have just fallen not too long before them, and they might be right where they were, or
Yeah. Oh, for sure, 100%. Everybody's different, but yeah, I mean, I think especially with a head injury like that, mentally, that's tough, like for anybody. And I used to see people who would get concussions and like when it come back for a while, and I'm like, I didn't understand it. I was like, oh, like that seems crazy. Like, why are they not back? Like, they're healed, And then like it happened to me, and I was like, okay, I get it now. It is actually like it takes time.
Your head. It's just it's one of those things, because and I've always said it too. Like when you that's like the easiest thing is to get knocked out, because you're like, well, you don't remember anything, so it's like you'd be able to go right back to it. Versus you like you break your arm, you're like, oh, that's not good. Just remember not to do that, right? But like if you're knocked out and you get up, you're just like, I'm not even hurt. Like,
good to go.
Right. Right. I was racing in Rock Hill, as a matter of fact, and as soon as we got to the very first jump, like the guy just slid out, and then he stood up, and then he fell down. And he stood back up, and he fell back down again. He did like 2 or 3 times, and like we were still riding. Like, what's going on with him? He hit his head, and I think he broke his femur or something. And he didn't know everything that was going on. His body was like letting you know, you're broken up, dude. But he just kept trying to get up, and he got like knocked out for a little bit. And so they ended up laying him down, and then they called the ambulance and everything. And he was like, I'm fine. Everything's great. I'm fine. He's like, I didn't even lose consciousness. And they're like, bro, you was out for a couple minutes.
You did.
I mean, it's just to lay here for a while.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Right.
And I find it being on the gate and having like the moto in front of me, having somebody crash and getting carried off in a stretcher, that messes with me also. Like, it drains the race out of me. It scares me to half to death. And most of the time it's somebody I know, it's if it's like at a local, and it's just like, I don't know. I'd love to see how like you guys deal with that. I mean, you see a horrible accident, you see somebody getting carried away, and now you're up next. Now you have to race.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely tough because like it usually it is like you said, people or your friends or whatever, and like I think it's just one of those things that you have to be kind of aware of what you're thinking. Like if you're thinking of like, you have to be able to be like, okay, that's not real. Like that's just a thought. And, just because I'm thinking that, this crash, so like I'm going to crash, like that thought needs to just be pushed down your head, I worked with a sports psychologist for a while last year and the year before. And he was awesome, but he like really helped me get my head right, because I would like go into a race weekend. This is totally off topic, but I would go into a race weekend and I would be so nervous that I would be like dreading it. And I like realized like, okay, this isn't even like dread. I'm just recognizing the feeling of excitement as dread and like wiring my brain that way. So it was a weird thing to realize. And now like it's just, and it's with anything. Like even if you're nervous behind the gate, it might not be nerves. It might be excitement, and you're just like thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm nervous."
Right. That makes sense. I didn't even think about that. Huh.
Yeah, but I mean, same thing. If somebody crashes in front of you, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die," then yeah, you're probably gonna be nervous. But if you're like thinking about your race instead and focusing on yourself, then I think it's easier to stay in the zone.
How I started going about it is like I'll see somebody crash and I'm like, you know what? That's rare. Like that guy probably did that guy did probably 50 laps and he crashed on one. Okay, that it's gonna happen. Like I crashed last week, so I have like 50 laps to go before I crash again. So I'm good, But yeah, I always look at it like it's rare. Like, out of how many laps and motos we see, crashes. It don't happen that often until you get to like, I don't know, mains and some nationals or grands, but other than that, I mean, there's really not a lot of accidents. You know, it's just not.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's part of the sport. Like everybody's gonna crash now and then. It is what it is. I think that it's a little bit of a mental game if you haven't crashed in a while, right? Because like you said, like
Right.
it's gonna be coming at some point. But it was funny. I was coaching in Elgin earlier this year, or oh my gosh, I keep getting the years mixed up. Last year, which is crazy. I can't believe it's 2024. And I like had not fallen on my bike that I built up way back in Nashville, and I was like, I know this crash is coming. Like I know it's coming, and I ended up having like this silly little and I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Like that first crash on this bike, I crashed it forever. Like I will take it.
Yeah. So, what's your go-to food on like the day of the nationals?
Oh my gosh, I love food. Anything, literally anything. I love like more than anyone I know. I love food. And, like I just it is. I seriously will eat anything except I don't like whipped cream and I don't like chicken tenders because whipped cream is just like eating seafoam and chicken tenders like they just shouldn't be like crunchy. If they're like soft, yeah, it really is. But chicken tenders, if they're like softer, that's good. If they're like crunchy, then I feel like it's literally like biting into a handful of Legos. So that's not good. But
Seafoam and Legos,
Right.
yeah. But no, I mean honestly, like I just try to, eat mindfully because like I said, I do like food a lot. So like it's really easy for me to just eat anything in sight. But also like I notice such a big difference when I'm fueling my body correctly and when I'm not. So I just try to, make sure I'm not overdoing it, but like you need carbs on race day, you need protein on race day. It's really easy to not eat when you're racing and then overeat afterwards because obviously like, for the pros, like we go every hour and a half. So like you don't want to have a meal in between like first and second round. But sometimes you have to eat like a little bit and like force yourself to, eat something.
Right. You do.
So sandbagging is a big thing, like, in the amateur ranks, especially with the older guys, the younger guys. And so a lot of people don't want to move up. They're scared to move up to expert, especially that's what it seems like. Intermediate to expert, there's probably the most bagging going on, right? So anyway,
yeah.
Right. So, I mean, you made all those steps. You went from amateur to pro, amateur to like, all the steps in amateur, up to expert, and
I
then
actually
pro.
didn't.
Oh,
I
you
didn't. No, I started racing when it was NBL. So there was no like beginner or intermediate class for girls in like NBL racing. So I was just
I didn't know
expert.
that.
Like as soon as I started racing, I was just expert girl. So but just oh my gosh, people who sandbag just turn expert. That's so ridiculous. Like what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, so you know what it is going from expert to pro. You just did it, right?
Sure.
It was just time to turn pro. You knew it. You just went. There's some people that just won't do it. They'll either quit or they'll just stay where they are. I mean, do you have any words for somebody that's right there and they know they should be moving up, but they're just scared to, or they might have a parent telling them like, it's not time yet?
Well, I think like amateur to pro racing is something different because obviously like if you don't want to be pro, then you don't want to be pro, right? But like with someone like, who's intermediate and isn't turning expert, I think that's, you have to keep growing. Like you might be uncomfortable for a little bit, but that's okay. That's totally normal. Like if you're comfortable, then you need to turn pro, I guess. Like you need something harder. So I think that, it might be intimidating at first. You might get your butt kicked at first, but like I said, that's how you grow. If you just like stay in your comfort zone, you're never going to get any better. That's why like, crashing, like we were talking about, sometimes you crash because you're doing something that gets you out of your comfort zone, and that's totally okay. Like again, if you're not crashing, if you're not pushing yourself, you're not going to get better.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if you're not practicing.
Yeah, practicing is a big deal.
Yeah.
If you're not practicing,
Yeah.
He's mad because I don't practice. He's mad I don't practice.
This guy don't practice, man.
Well, I mean, hey, you gotta. Here's the thing. I don't know. I can't even imagine like not going to ride my bike. Like that's what I look forward to. So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
hey,
she can't even defend you, bro. She can't defend you. She tried.
So, in my defense, my first lap is the practice lap.
Yeah, don't you like riding your bike?
I do, but I'm at the
yeah.
age where more time on the bike means more chances to crash. So I
but that's
that.
everybody. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Honestly, you can do whatever you want. Like, you can race BMX for a million different reasons. And if you don't want to practice, you don't have to practice. If you just like racing, you can just race. You know.
Right.
For me, I love riding my bike, so I'm gonna go to practice anytime I can.
Right. Makes sense.
Have you raced cruiser before?
No, I tried to do cruiser practice at Grants one year because I just wanted more practice, and I was like, I can't. I did one lap, and I was like, I cannot ride this. There's no way. Like, I hate this. So no, I've never raced cruiser. Never have had any desire to at all.
And I have in the past, but just when I went to Grants, somebody told me that you better grab somebody's bike and do the cruiser practice just to get on the track, and that helped a lot. I think definitely,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like for amateurs, it's good because like especially at nationals and at grands, especially with the new practice schedule, if you race cruiser, it is more time on the track. It's definitely like I don't think it can hurt you racing cruiser. It just was never something that like appealed to me. I never wanted to do it, so I just didn't.
Right.
What about like dirt jumpers or mountain bikes?
Dirt jumpers are fun. The thing with like dirt jumpers and mountain bikes, though, honestly, like, and again, we've talked about it, but like I'm small, so like when I get on a 26er, it feels like I'm on a 29, and when I get on a 29, like that's literally more than half my height. So like it just feels. Right. I don't know. Right. I would like to ride mountain bikes at some point, and I think it'd be really fun to race like Crankworks or something on a DJ. But like, it's just I prefer the smaller bike. It is more finesse in my eyes. Like you're not like plowing through tree branches, and I don't honestly like enough mountain bikes to have a say. That's just I feel like there's more finesse when you don't have suspension and you don't have big tires. Like I don't know. It's more satisfying to watch.
I get it. I'm there with you.
What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh, I really like Batman. Like I like the Christopher Nolan Batmans trilogy. I'm a big Batman fan.
Okay.
But I don't know. I also really like Dirty Dancing. That's a good movie.
Yeah, so it's an older one. You're talking about the original one, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Was there a remake?
I thought there was a remake.
Was there?
Either there was or there's one coming. I know that for sure.
I don't know. I like the original. The original is very good. But I don't know. I honestly am not a very big like movie person. My brother has a degree in film or something like that. Anyway, he's like a movie geek, so he's always trying to show me movies, and I'm like, I can't sit here and watch this. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I want to do something.
Yeah, we don't need a Dirty Dancing part 2, man. Like not now. Like what are they gonna be like in the hood? Like
they're making remakes of everything, dude. It's just that's what they do. And they got nothing.
The remakes are never as good. The remakes are never as good.
Right.
Like they just gotta stop at the first one.
Right. So okay, so then in your downtime when you're not racing, practicing, what do you like to do?
Well, my parents have 21 acres and we have 3 St. Bernards. So our pups they love to walk. We've got like a pond, so we'll take them swimming in the summer. We actually were just ice skating on it this weekend because it was finally cold enough. We usually get to ice skate like once every 2 years. So it got super cold for a week. We got to ice skate. It was awesome. But we also have a bunny, a chinchilla, and a cat. So we like our animals. I like to, hang out with my bunny and hang out with my dogs, and the chinchilla is my sister's. But
That's cool.
we like animals a lot. And then my mom, sister, and I like to rollerblade a ton. So in the summer, we'll go and we'll rollerblade like anywhere from 8 to 20 miles, and like make a day of it, get lunch. We ski and snowboard in the winter. We play family tennis sometimes. My mom can convince my dad and I. But yeah, we're just anything active as a family. Like my parents are pretty young, so like they still do so much with my sister and I, and we have a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have like a first straight or any type of practice track on your land? I mean, that's a lot of land. You could probably build a nice little pump or something.
Yeah, I had like 2 straights for a while. Like first straight, a corner, and a second straight. And it was pretty cool. But I had a really hard time maintaining it because we have like really bad poison ivy everywhere here, basically. And I'm super allergic to it. And I never was, but I guess the more you're exposed to it, the more allergic you get. And so I would like go to weed whack, and then I'd be covered like head to toe and had to be on like straight up steroids to get rid of it. It was crazy. So we plowed it. I actually talked to my dad about maybe doing it again and doing like a limestone first straight. And I really, really would love to build just a first straight and have a supercross hill because we have the elevation and like,
really?
Yeah, it would be so cool. But I don't know. I don't know if he would let me. But like to go to practice, like I mentioned earlier, if I go to Louisville, I'm driving 2 hours one way just to practice, and I go like 3 days a week in the summer. And then Columbus, Indiana is a little bit closer, but it's still, an hour and a half when I'm speeding. So it's like, it's a lot of time spent in the car, a lot of gas money. Obviously the other thing is if I had a first straight, like I would still want to go to the track because it's different riding with people and like having a good group of people to ride with. But also like if there was a day that I could just stay home instead of spending 4 hours in the car, like I would take it.
That's a lot of time. That's that dedication. You said 3 times in a week you would do that, 4 hours on the road round trip?
Yeah, in the summer, especially like right now, I was able to ride outside up until like last week. The guys in Louisville are awesome. They've been opening Big Hill for me still. And so the track's been like a little bit flaky because it's slurry coated. So like once we get that freeze thaw, it'll peel up. But they were opening it for me. It's actually covered in snow right now, so that's the reason I haven't been down. But I was still going down there like 2 days a week. They were making it happen, so they're fantastic. Thank you, Derby City.
That's awesome.
Derby City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Also too, so I guess one of the other things is, so we figured out that you're not really a movie person, which what's weird is a lot of people who ride, when I ask them that, it's like deer in the headlights. It's like they don't have time to watch a movie. They have to think about it for a while. I'm like, oh my gosh, you racing consumes you like that. Like you're missing a lot of great movies.
Like I don't a lot, but those are like the first 2 that popped up, or the first, I guess, 4 that popped up because Batman has 3. But I don't know. I don't watch as many as I probably should. I feel like there's a lot of good movies out there that I haven't seen.
All right. So me and Shannon just hopped in your car right now. The music is on. What are we listening to?
Well, what genre does it matter? Because I have a lot of different genres.
I'm just saying we just hopped in your car right now. Like this is right now. You hopped in, your radio turns on. What you got?
And we're going to the track. What are we listening to?
We're going to the track. My music taste changes a lot. So like sometimes I'm in the mood for like my 80s and 90s. Sometimes I want even like earlier than that. Sometimes I want rock. Sometimes I want rap. Sometimes I want pop. Like it just depends. Right now though, I have literally been listening to Money for Nothing on repeat. And I don't even know why. Like I love the song, but it's just been like been my jam recently. So, yeah, money for nothing.
I'm trying to think of. It sounds familiar.
It's
Shannon, you
it's
know that
I
song?
think it's
Is it a group?
it's what?
I'm like, is it a song or a group? Because I'm like,
No. It's hold on. I think it's by Dire Straits. Hold up, let me check. I got you. I'll let you know. Yeah, Money for Nothing by Dire Straits.
okay.
It's a banger. It's a banger.
All right, we're going. Shannon's a DJ, so I'm looking at him like, you know that one, Shannon?
You know that one?
I didn't.
What?
I was thinking. No. Now I do. But I kept thinking of a new song. Like, and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't know
no.
of a new song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't have expected you to say that. So yeah.
It's a banger.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's my thing. Classic rock before a race or before practice or before that's
There
just
you
my
go.
thing. That's just what I listened
It's
to as a
like I
kid
said.
going to a track. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, my music taste changes a lot. That's just been this week's like anthem. Like that's been the jam.
There we go.
I
Okay.
mean, so I watched a few races and I think they were in. It was like the British National Championship or something, and they were like actually playing music during the race.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think it's really cool, and I was wondering, would
Yeah.
you be able to race with the music on?
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure. I think yeah, that'd be sick. I would love it. I think that it might mess with some people. Well, they don't play it when the cadence is going. So yeah, why wouldn't we race with music?
As soon as the gate drops, the music goes, and I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah, but
Oh, I think that'd be sick.
And so do you hear the announcer? Like when you're racing, can you hear people shouting out for you? All right.
I definitely don't hear people cheering for me. The only time I'll listen to the announcer is if I don't know where someone is. So like if I'm seriously, because they'll tell you. So like if I know that I'm ahead of, whoever, and I'm listening and I can hear where they're at, or I know that they're pulling me and I need to protect the inside or the outside, I definitely will listen for that. Like sometimes I'll pick up bits and pieces and I won't even realize that I heard it until like, later that day when I rewatched the lap. I'm like, oh, I heard him say that, but for the most part, I don't listen unless I am like consciously, trying to figure out something.
Right.
I think it's such an advantage if you can, because I hear everything. Like I could, like if you yelled my name during a race, I could tell you at the end of the race where you were. I swear.
Really? That's
But,
crazy.
I just think it's such an advantage if you can,
Yeah, for sure. Especially with like if they're mentioning where your competition is, for sure.
Yep. Okay, well, Shannon, you got anything else? I mean, I'm like,
I think we're ready to wrap it up. Thank you so much.
I want to keep you. I mean, we kept you for. We want to like hold you up for whatever we got to do. But congratulations, man! Like, healthy, congratulations!
I'm so excited.
Your first race. I know.
Right. Dope.
I get my jerseys tomorrow. I can't wait.
Awesome.
And also, I think we are announcing it tomorrow at so I'm like dying. Like I cannot wait.
Okay, and this might even be a little too early to ask. And me and Everett always said we're gonna start asking people, right? When they come on the show. If you ever get an extra jersey and want to send it to somebody, I'll give you my address and send it over here.
We just want one autograph. Like you can just bring it to
will you guys be in Rock Hill?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just you have my email. Just email me. I'll remember to bring one if you send me an email.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's no problem. I've got a bunch. So.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very
awesome.
Cool.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you guys so much.